Good morning. This is John Dingfelder. You're listening to Down and Dirty on WMNF, or possibly WMNF.org. I'm joined by my co-host this morning, Vic DeMaio. Not nearly as good looking as my normal co-host, Lynn Marvin Dingfelder.
I have a face for radio.
Good morning, Vic. We're glad to have you. And we have a special guest today, Ms. Councilwoman Lynn Hurtak.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah.
I always love to come on WMNF.
Yeah, absolutely.
Always a good conversation.
Absolutely. No, we're thrilled to have you here. Let me introduce Lynn Hurtak, Councilwoman Lynn Hurtak, formally. Most importantly, I wore my orange and blue Gators shirt today to honor Lynn, who is also, like me, a double Gator. So go Gators.
My dad will be very proud.
Chomp, chomp.
Chomp, chomp. But going back a little bit, as I read her bio, Lynn was born in Tampa,
Forest Hills,
St. Joe's.
Mm-hmm. It was the women's hospital was brand new.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
There you go. And I was born at Tampa General. Where were you born, Vic?
I was born a couple blocks from here at the Centro Asturiano Hospital.
Yes, yes.
Which was a branch of the Centro Asturiano Club, which is on Nebraska and Palm. So, it's a lot of Spanish babies before a certain time.
They did a lot of stuff there. They had for you, they had a veterinary clinic. And
yeah, of course, because I needed to be defleed. No, I had asthma as a kid. I was always in the hospital. I was very asthmatic.
Oh my God.
My mom said I was a 22-hour baby. I was born blue, so we weren't sure we're going to make it. But
Wow.
And my brother was born at the St. Joe's place. So, and before I forget, I want to make sure if people want to watch this live. I brought my friend Luis Salazar. And he's going to be running 2 cameras today we'll be streaming this whole show live on Facebook Live on my Facebook page, Victor DeMaio, but the Hillsborough County Democratic Hispanic Caucus that I'm president of, and Luis is my right-hand man. Anybody wants to go online to see the show live, to see how beautiful Lynn looks.
If I had known, I would
have shirt.
If I had known, I would have dressed up a little better.
There's plenty of Gators that love that shirt, so don't worry. I'm a Seminole. I hate to say I went to school where mom went, but my dad was president of the Tampa Gator Club for so many years. They made him chairman of the board. So
there you go. And we've got Skip on the board, and Anthony will be answering your calls. We'll start taking calls probably in about 20, 30 minutes. So going back to our guest, Tampa Councilwoman Lynn Hurtak. Lynn was born in Tampa. She was raised in Gainesville. She attended the University of Florida, bachelor's and a master's degree. She moved to St. Petersburg and came to her senses and came back to Tampa about 2015. She was a community activist in Seminole Heights. And from that position, she was ultimately appointed to Tampa City Council in 2022, District 3, which is citywide. And shortly thereafter, she was appointed. She had a race to run, and she beat Senator Janet Cruz. It was a very contentious election. And what was the final vote tally or percentage?
Won by 20%.
Yeah, that's pretty significant.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
And Janet had been an incumbent as a state rep in a state house. My wife always says that city council people are actually much more well known locally than the state representatives and the state senators. The issues are more local. People pay more attention to what's going on locally, which perhaps is a mistake sometimes.
Agreed.
Well, you served on council, Mr. Dingfelder, for many years, admirably.
10 years of penance.
Yes.
Anyway, Lynn's going on. What are you going on about 5-6 years, and now
4
years, going into your 5th year next year, and she decided to run for mayor. And that's why one of the reasons we decided to have you on the show.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, and ask the big question, why? No, seriously, I mean, city council's pretty comfortable. It's, you and I know that it's, pretty much almost a full-time job, but they call it part-time, and they the pay got better. It's still not great, but it's better. And so it's sort of comfortable. And I'm sure you could easily stay there for another term or two, but you have decided to jump in. backing up a little bit, Mayor Jane Castor is termed out. She's finishing up her 8 years, her 4 years and 4 years next year, and the election is what, March?
Yes, March of 27.
Right, and so it's amazing how many folks have gotten in. I've lost track. I think it's somewhere in 11 or 12. Yeah,
maybe a baker's dozen. I don't know. I don't keep track.
And maybe it doesn't before it's over too.
I usually have to plug into Ray Roa because he keeps track of these things. And but anyway, last I heard, I think it was like 11 or 12 folks have jumped in. But most notoriously is yourself, sitting councilwoman Bill Carlson, and
Councilman.
Did I say woman? Yes, you did. Sorry, Bill.
I mean, I get called councilman all the time. It's a
Thank you, Vic, and of course, returning Mayor Bob Buckhorn, or trying to return as mayor. Bob served 8 years in between Pam Iorio and Jane Castor. So Mayor Bob is trying to come back, and
well, he gave a couple of shots that didn't make it too. So in previous runs for mayor,
he lost to
Pam Iorio. Pam Iorio, Charlie Miranda, and Frank Sanchez race. 3 terms ago.
Ed Turanchik was in that one.
Ed Turanchik, right.
Yeah. I always thought Ed would be a good mayor, just because he was progressive and he had a good vision.
He was a dreamer.
Yeah.
Commissioner Choo Choo was his nickname because he was really into.
And I guess some people didn't take him seriously because of that. But anyway, well, let's jump back to Councilwoman Hurtak, and the question is why.
Why? It's because I have really enjoyed my time as a council member, and you're right. I could sit. I could have walked back into my seat. I truly believe, but the problems were the same. So I've been moving and trying to move legislation and trying to do this and trying to do that. And I kept hitting a wall of there's only so much you can do as a council member. Like you can't staff can only do what the mayor lets them do. If the citizens are asking for something, you can only go so far. And it's just been a constant fight. Everything I've done has been a fight. For example, we just approved the sidewalk in Luffy a couple of months ago. That was like a 3-year fight.
Yeah.
And they didn't want to do it. So we had to really claw. And it just feels like something that's that simple should not be something that I have to continuously claw at. And when I looked at what was coming, and it was, Bob Buckhorn had a real history of not working with council, and he very clearly said on his first day, council needs to stay in their place.
Stay in their lane.
Yeah, stay in their lane. It led me to believe that it would continue to be a fight, and even a harder fight.
Now, but structurally, as you know, Lynn, I'll just call you Lynn for today.
Yeah, no, please do.
Lynn, as you know, because you sat on the Charter Review board prior to coming to council, structurally, the city of Tampa is sort of set up that way with a, quote, strong mayor form of government. A little bit stronger than St. Petersburg.
Yes.
Definitely a lot stronger than Clearwater, which I think Clearwater has kind of a weak mayor form of government.
Exactly.
It's more of a city manager form of government. So, aren't you fighting the structure of the city of Tampa in terms of the charter? Why not just change the charter?
We're kind of working on that. Like, we have a charter review commission going on right now. I sat on the city's first charter review commission, which is, the charter is the city's constitution. And we were able to move the needle a little bit. This particular charter review commission, I chose Bobby Creighton as my appointee, and he's been fighting for these types of changes, but they're not coming. They're not coming fast enough. They're not. And I actually believe that the charter, nowhere in the charter does it say we're a strong mayor form of government. But what has historically not been something that this city has done is had all 8 elected officials work in concert. Mm-hmm. And that's a problem. And that's what I want to change. Yeah. And I didn't see anyone who would come in who would do that. And so I wanted to be that change. I'm known for listening. I'm known for working rolling my sleeves up and actually getting stuff done. And I really want to do that with a council. And I believe that we can move the city so much further.
Okay, well, now hypothetically, I admire that. But hypothetically, what if you get a council, because all 7 council members' seats are up, so all 7 council members could be gone, theoretically.
Sure.
What if you got a new council? What if you got elected mayor? And what if you got a new council that was like really conservative, all Gasparilla folks, and they didn't want to change anything. They liked the status quo. But there's Lynn Hurtak on the progressive side saying, wait a second. So then what?
Well, you do have power with staff. I mean, you work in the confines of where you are. And quite frankly, if they elect me mayor and a whole conservative council, I don't
You're going to tell them to stay in their own lane.
Yeah, no, I'm not. But that's the exact problem, is that we can't do that. So if there are people who are opposed, the thing you do is you don't call them and berate them. You don't tell them what you want them to do. You sit and listen, and you find the areas of compromise.
Are you insinuating that the current mayor calls people and berates them?
Yes.
I mean, every time I have a meeting with her, I meet with her every 2 months, and we sit down and we have a conversation about
X, Y, and Z.
Whatever.
Yeah, whatever. And at the very end, she has to put something like a zinger, a negative, don't talk about my staff that way, don't do this, don't do that. And so, like, I bring my aide with me, and we almost sort of like joke about, what are we going to be zinged for this time? And it's just, I don't feel like it's as productive as it could be. And I think part of that is, her raising $1 million to run against me and not being supportive of my race. Which is why I think
that was the last time, the $1 million.
Right.
Yeah, the $1 million. That was the Janet Cruz race. And I really just believe.
Which was sort of her
mother-in-law. Yeah.
Mother-in-law.
So I really believe that it's one of those things that, you shouldn't get involved. Like, you shouldn't get involved in those city council races because you can't. You got to work with whoever's there. And that hurt the ability to work. And I mean, I haven't heard that anybody else has a more significantly better relationship.
Well, we do have a strong mayor form of government. And I'll point a couple things that people may or may not know. And you guys know this because, John, you serve in council as well. For many, many years, the council's attorney was the mayor's attorney.
Yeah.
It's the biggest conflict of interest. And John, you're an attorney as well. I mean, that's like this. Can you imagine the legislature having using the governor's attorney? I mean,
have you watched the Charter Review Commission? Because Ron Cristaldi is trying to do the same thing.
And I was just going to say that because the mayor's appointees to the commission are like, well, let's get rid of this council's attorney. We'll use the mayor's attorney. I go, no. Yeah. And the thing is, I would like to get your attorney, the city council attorney, help. He's only one guy. He's fighting 10 or 15 attorneys sitting out. It's not even fair, a fight, really. He needs help in different areas. You should be able to just say, for example, if you need a water expert attorney, get a water expert attorney to help him. And believe it, another little tip, and you guys know this too, your aides do not work for you. When I was in legislature, I worked for the speaker. Your aides work for the mayor. Technically, they go through the mayor's office, HR. So they have to. They technically get paid.
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I would say that's the only employee that works for us because,
well, they do.
We decide who we want to hire. Frankly, I let one of my aides go, so I guess I decided who I wanted to fire.
Well, that's true, but I know of. I won't say who they are, but there are other instances where the mayor's office says you can't hire that aide for different reasons. I won't go into specifics, but
never heard that one.
Yeah. So, but that actually has happened, and you're right. The Charter Review drove me nuts because they wanted to say, well, let's go back to the mayor's attorney for there. We fought for years to get that on the charter, so you can have your own autonomous advice.
It's not just the lawyer. Our Hager Kopesky, she's the city council budget analyst, has been an absolute game changer.
Yes, she's amazing.
Huge help.
Yeah, I'm proud of you that you guys. That had always been in there for quite a while, but no council had ever really filled that position for budget analyst, city council budget analyst.
So
the city probably has 100 budget analysts, but city council had this position that remained unfilled. I think Linda Salcena and I tried to fill it, and we failed. But I was proud of you, Lynn Hertag, for that you and this council filled that position, and I hear it's going well.
It's amazing, and
one of council's big responsibilities is
the budget.
Yeah.
And that is honestly another reason I'm running, because when I approved the first few budgets, my first budget approval, I had barely been on council for 6 months, and it was just so giant, and I was so surprised that people were just like, yep. They either voted for it or against it, and that was that. And there really wasn't any discussion. And I was like, come on, this is money. This is it wasn't quite $2 billion at the time, still isn't. But
when Goods and I were on there in our defense, we did push back.
Yeah, well,
yes.
I think Goods and I made a $1 million motion for the rec center in East Tampa.
Yes.
We just pushed back, maybe more on principle. The budget was $1 billion, but on principle, we said, wait a second, we think blah. We just kind of pushed back to let them know that we could.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But I appreciate that, because that was the beginning of us really being able to dive through. And so I'm just talking about when there was a yes vote or a no vote. There was very little conversation. And now we have multiple open forum meetings where we dive into details, and it's still hard for us to push things through, as the last budget showed.
You're right.
But
it's like pulling teeth.
It is pulling teeth. But again, that's why I asked for and got, council members agreed. We had an initial budget workshop at the end of February to talk about what we want in the 2027 budget, so that the mayor and the finance staff can't come back and say, we didn't know what you wanted.
Right.
We talked about it.
So it gives you 6 months lead time to when you actually have to start voting.
And we invited the public to come. Now, of course, it was a smaller show, but you got to start somewhere. And I really hope, regardless, I will initiate another one next year, but it should be something that is a yearly event. And as mayor, I'm actually going to take that to the people. I mean, we have to do participatory budgeting, and it's not going to be the whole thing at once. We're going to start, you got to start small, but that's it. So that to me is the biggest issue overall in the city. You want to know why I'm running? Because the city is terrible at communication.
Oh, well, they got 100 people working up at the PR department.
And that is one of the things I am best at. I am a former Title I elementary school teacher, and one of the things I can tell by looking at a crowd is when people don't understand what's being said, and being able to convert it and turn on a dime and explain it in a different way. And I believe that a lot of the problems and the consternation we're having, and I'm going to bring up the third rail of the South Howard project, is because we have not done a very good job of explaining. We wait until we're ready to put the shovel in the ground before we say, hey, we're going to do this. Right. And we can't. We have to start. We have to explain why we're here, why we're doing this, why things are the way they are. And so one of the things I'm starting on my campaign soon is a Lynn Listens tour. Those dates we're still finalizing in places, but I'm going to be going all around the city to just talk to people. And where this came from is, you talked about my time across the bay. My husband and I moved to St. Pete for 3 years. And this is a funny story. We moved there solely, my best friend worked for the Times. She was a photojournalist. And we moved there because of her. And we could live anywhere. Tim was working for Deadspin at the time. We could have lived anywhere in the country. We moved there because of her, and because my husband was a huge Rays fan. And we were a mile away from the Trop. We got married that year, and instead of a honeymoon, bought season tickets. Wow. We walked to 68 games.
Oh, my God.
And I'm a scorer. I don't leave my seat. I love.
You used to actually do the score.
Oh, I score. Yeah, and I don't leave my seat because my husband can't score correctly, so I can't trust him to do it when I leave. So once I sit, I'm in. So we're huge fans, and that's why we moved there. And I got it.
You're just following the Rays, you know.
Yeah.
You anticipated they're going to come across the bay.
Eventually.
But I got involved in our neighborhood. And I lived in Uptown, which was just north of downtown, and it was during the spice epidemic, and we were struggling with a lot of crime and drug dealing, prostitution, all sorts of issues in that neighborhood. And the mayor at the time was Bill Foster. Complete opposite in terms of political spent.
Republican.
But he had this thing that he did called Mayor's Night Out, where he went to a different community center every month. He took all of his directors, not staff members, directors, had a table. And then you could sign up for 5 minutes with the mayor. You could sign up for 5 minutes with the city council member who showed up. That is what I'm going to do, because that is, it was awesome. Our neighborhood went to every single event because we had issues we needed solved. We couldn't get it done by calling. We couldn't get it done by showing up at offices. They were guaranteed to be there, and so were we.
Vic, I don't know if you remember, but Sandy Freeman used to do some of the. She'd go to the neighborhood association. She was very pro neighborhood association, and she'd go to neighborhood associations, and she'd mandate every single senior staff person would go with her. The Ralph Metcalfs of sewer, and the tipping of water, and every single senior staff person. So there is some good precedent.
Yeah. Maybe Foster took that from her.
Yeah, and go talk to Sandy Freeman. She's still out at the coffee shop one day a week. You should go.
She's at La Segunda on Kennedy. She goes there quite a bit. I see her there. And you're right. So that's, I think that's, Sandy, every mayor's different in a different way. Sandy was very affable, approachable. She only had 2 people in her PR department.
You were saying before that the city now has I'm sure that maybe they have 20 or something like that, but
about 20.
I think they do a lot of marketing, not, as Lynn said, communication.
Yes,
and communication is a two-way street.
They did.
And marketing is just PR. This is how wonderful things are. Listen, if you're just tuning in, you're listening to WMNF. I'm John Dinkfelder. Down and Dirty is our show. We're joined by my co-host, Vic Tamayo, and our special guest, Tampa City Councilwoman Lynn Hurtak. We're talking about city council, but more importantly, we're talking about Lynn's race. I think she was really the first major candidate to jump in to decide to run for mayor, and that election is a little less than a year from now. Lynn, let me let's we're down and dirty. We're like hardball. Let's jump to some tougher questions. You and Bill Carlson. Bill has been serving. It doesn't matter. You and Bill Carlson served together. You've been serving with him for 4 years now. People, I think, if I ask the average person on the street or the average WMNF listener, they would probably describe both of you as progressives. You can differ if you wish, but so then the question becomes, why wouldn't you and Bill kind of get together and work things out and not run against each other, both being progressive?
Because he's not progressive.
Okay.
That's just the bottom line. I'm actually, that's the thing.
Elaborate on that a little bit. You can't just let that go.
Yeah. The votes just aren't showing that. If you're voting against the sidewalk fee increase, that's not progressive. You're not digging in and reaching out and doing the work on the ground of being more progressive. You have to reach out. You have to do the work. You can't just show up.
So what is that? Walk the walk and talk the talk?
You have to do it. And that's the thing that I've been working on with activists, whether it be trees or sidewalks or anything. You
mentioned South Howard. I didn't really follow it now that Lynn and I have moved up 30 feet above sea level in Seminole Heights. So what happened in South Howard in a nutshell?
Oh, it's still going on. The city is there's a flooding problem.
Mm-hmm. Always has. Yeah.
Yeah, always has. And that's the issue, is how do we solve that issue? And the bottom line is we have to bring relief to not just it's not 25 homeowners. It's homeowners and businesses along Swan, too. There's a lot of people who are going to benefit from this program. And the problem is people are differing on how it gets done.
Right.
And
so how did you vote? How did Bill vote? Were your votes different?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, what? He's against the project. I'm for the project.
Okay. And Vic
Vic is very opposed to the project, and I understand that.
And Vic, you represent some of the
I represent some homeowners and mostly businesses down there
that are opposed to it.
Well, we're just opposed to tearing up Howard Avenue for 4 years from Swan to Bayshore. number one, and we're opposed to the fact that there's thousands of businesses. It's very narrow down there.
So let me give you a little context. Sorry to interrupt. These issues just keep coming back. And when my first term on city council, Pam Iorio's staff wanted to go in for a major flooding project along Sterling. Mm-hmm. They were going to help the Dale Mabry flooding down there near the Neptune Publix.
Exactly.
And in order to do that, they had to literally rip up Sterling Avenue, which is right there near Himes and Dale Mabry, toward the golf course. They had to rip up Sterling from end to end for like 3 blocks and just rip it up, not only from sidewalk to sidewalk, but from right away to right away.
Right.
And take out like a dozen or 2 grandfather oaks. And so, I was starting to, get into it. I was hearing a lot from my constituents because that was my district at the time. And they went out and literally tied yellow ribbons around all of those oak trees. And some of the children tied themselves up to the oak trees. And then they called the TV stations. And the TV stations came out. And that's when they cared about local issues. And they came out and they covered it. And pretty soon, Pam Iorio said, you know what? If they don't want it fixed, then I'll take that money and we'll go somewhere else. And she just backed away from it, which frankly, at the time, I thought was pretty wise because it was going to be an ugly, ugly fight. Anyway, little context.
And she told me the same thing about South Howard. She says, I'm not going to be tearing up. Who
said that?
Pam Iorio, Mary Iorio. She says, she had that option. She talked to her engineer. She says, how long does it take to drain the water? The engineer said, well, about maybe 20 minutes. She says, I can live with that. I'm not going to be tearing up Howard. And actually, this project is now at $100 million. It could be up at 125 by the time they're done because, with inflation and all that stuff. So, and they don't even have the money to do it. They've had maybe $50 million out of the $100 million.
We have the GMP comes to us in October. And after that, it can't go up. So, the contractor has to eat those costs.
So what was the vote? Is it close? 3-4, 4-3?
Yeah, it's a 4-3 vote
right now. It's 4-3 vote, yeah.
In favor
of doing it, but it's still we have the GMP vote in October, and
that's where the contractor is actually picked.
Yeah, so that GMP is the guaranteed maximum price, and I'm not shying away from that difficult issue. We have to talk about it, but it also has to get solved. Whereas in Mayor Iorio's term, like you said, 20 minutes, no big deal. We're not talking about 20 minutes anymore because sea level rise, because storm surge, all the things that have been happening. We really have to solve the problem. And it really is just a matter of how we want to solve it. And quite frankly, it doesn't matter which way it goes. It's going to be $100 million. It's going to be a very expensive project. But it's also going to be a really expensive project? The Rays Stadium.
Yeah, we're gonna get there. We're definitely gonna get there.
But this is an important issue because it's one of the biggest projects, and it's going to affect so many people.
I agree.
And it's going to put a lot of people out of work. Burns has 400 employees. Epicurean 350. Where are they going to go?
All right, we're going to move on.
So, but the point, and I'll give you one last point. This is what: if you do a pipe and it goes all the way down Bayshore. I grew up here. I've been here. My family's been here 100 years. And it's high tide.
Why didn't they fix the problem when they came?
Because, and it's high tide. Think about this.
If it's high tide, we're screwed.
Where's the water going to go?
If it's high tide, we're screwed. All right, we're going to move on. Let's talk about the other big candidate in the race. I want to focus on some of this politics because it's fun. Bob Buckhorn. Okay. Bob Buckhorn allegedly has raised $1.5–2 million in a PAC, which is like
man,
crazy, unprecedented.
Yeah.
Frank Sanchez had the first. Frank had $1 million when he ran, and he was the first guy running for mayor that got $1 million.
And how far did that take him?
Well, that's what I'm saying. When I talk about the mayor's race, and even city council race, you're a living example of money cannot buy a city council race because Janet had just spent millions of dollars running for Senate. Her name recognition was sky high. But people ask me, well, Vic, why is that? Why can't $2 million just buy you a race? Or why can't $1 million that Janet spent? Or even when Blake Castro spent $1 million, which he at that time he sold every McDonald's that he owned from here to Miami, so he had a lot of money. And it's because why? It's because it's like a 10% turnout. 90% of the people don't vote. So this little 9, 10, 11, you can't buy these people. These people study, they know, you can't buy them. And that's why you were able to cut through to those people.
Yes.
And successfully talk to them and win the race. And John, you know that. You've run for city council.
But it is not just that. It is also the culture that's going on. So I was the first one to be able to do that, to say, hey, $1 million versus I had raised 100,000. And then we saw the exact same percentages not quite the exact same split with when Councilwoman Young won her race.
Right.
And then just recently, we saw that in Brian Nathan's race.
Right.
Money, I'm sorry, but money isn't what it used to be.
Tomko spent $3 million, and Brian barely had 100.
Yeah.
She did 25 mailers, and you know what mailers are. 25 mailers, he had 3.
Okay, but let's stray away from money a little bit. Bob Buckhorn, I think if you walk down the street and say Bob Buckhorn, Lynn Hurtak, Bob Buckhorn has name recognition. He was mayor for 8 years, in this city. And yes, it was 8 years ago, but it wasn't that long ago. And like you say, the voters, the people who vote are not the newcomers.
But it's not about the money, John.
No, I'm not talking about the money. I'm talking about name recognition now.
Right.
So, Lynn, how do you overcome that?
You overcome it because literally people that I talk to are like, oh, God, anyone but Bob. And it's really the culture of what he brought, the focus on downtown and not the neighborhoods. I mean, I moved here in 2015. I moved back in 2015, and that was my recollection. I read the paper every day. I went to Cafe Con Tampa. I went to Tiger Bay, and that was the overall thing of, you're not focusing on neighborhoods. You're not doing this. You're not doing that. And man, did that leave a bad taste in people's mouths. And I'm sorry, you can have name recognition all you want, but not only do you have name recognition, there's something that's attached to that name.
Okay, so with 12 candidates, inevitably there's going to be a runoff because you have to get 50% or plus one vote in order to win. And I don't think anybody's going to do that. So let's say, for argument's sake, I love these hypotheticals, Lynn Hurtak and Bill Carlson are in the runoff. Okay. Do you turn to Bob Buckhorn and ask him for his support?
No.
Why not?
Because she got there without it.
Well,
yeah, but if you look at the Rose for Leader race, I know we're digging into a lot of history,
Absolutely.
Vic. But if you look into the Rose for Leader race, the reason Bob Buckhorn came out from behind Rose for Leader is that he gathered up a lot of momentum from the other candidates who didn't get the runoff.
Well, that's true. At that time, I was helping Dick Greco, who had all the four-term mayor.
Dick or Dickie?
No, Dick, the old man who ran for mayor.
Okay.
He was mayor 4 times. Yeah. He had all the money. He had $1 million, just like Frank Sanchez. And by the way, the other guy got to throw in there is David Strass, who spent $6 million and lost to Pam Mahoria.
And passed away.
Not Pam Mahoria.
Passed away a month later.
Yes.
That was strange.
But, not Pam Mahoria. He ran against our current mayor, Jane Castor. So that's why I'm saying money does not buy this race.
No,
But going back to my question, why not go back to Buckhorn and say, well, I'd really appreciate your help, Bob?
Because it's about who you are. This political climate is about who you are. And I think that I would go and reach out to his voters, but I don't know that I necessarily have to reach out to him if he doesn't win the primary.
Okay.
You do want to reach out to the voters. You do not need to reach out to the candidates necessarily. I mean, and if you look at Nia Young's race, people did not come and support and endorse her. There's only one candidate who endorsed her, and she won anyway by 20% of the vote. Mm. It's really reaching out to the voters themselves, and that is what we're doing here. And I have a reputation for continuously fighting for the people, and I'm just that is what I will continue to do. I'm going to be out there talking to folks. The number one thing that people are talking about is transportation. I've actually done something around transportation, and if you want to talk about progressive bona fides, Bill Carlson voted against that bus money. It was a hard-fought vote. It was a 4-3 vote.
Tell the listeners what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about.
I moved to get $1.5 million in the 2025 budget to be removed from EV charging stations in public parking garages, which to me is an automatic public-private partnership because we don't need to own that. That's just adding the amount it would have cost to keep those updated was just something that the ROI wasn't there. So instead, I knew it would take $1.5 million to make Route 1 the biggest route on Hart's fleet that goes from downtown up to USF and touches 70% of the rest of the routes. It would be fare free and increase the frequency from Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. We went from, it was an overwhelming success. We went from 3,000 people riding a day in December before the program started to 5,300 a day.
Almost double.
Almost double. And so proof of concept was there. I was able then, I did, in this last budget, get unanimous approval to take that same $1.5 million this time, and we did more increases in frequency because that's what the people who rode the bus were asking for. They weren't asking for the fare free. They would have, given the option, they wanted more frequency on weekends and nights, and that's what we did. So now the bus runs every 20 minutes on the weekend and every 20 minutes.
But it's back to costing money.
It's back to costing $2
So
a
how's the
ride.
ridership?
That I don't know. It is not as robust as it was. So I do think, but again, that's why you do pilots. But the one thing that people are asking for more than anything is transportation. And if we're not willing to try what amounts to, quite frankly, a cheap solution, because the cost of paving a mile of road or widening a road is astronomical. You can't do that for $1.5 million. But these things are relatively cheap and we get a big bang for our buck. These are the types of things that we have to do. And this is the progressive area as a city that we have to move toward.
Okay. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to Councilwoman Lynn Hertak, who's our guest today. I'm joined by Victor Mayo, and this is Down and Dirty, and I'm John Dingfelder, and you can join the conversation at 813-239-9663. We will start taking your calls now. Be polite, be relevant, and stay focused in terms of what your question is for Lynn. Otherwise, we will hit the kill button.
Oh my God! We're gonna kill people.
Kill button. So let me run through some more questions here. You mentioned being a big baseball fan, which of course leads to the question, the inevitable question about government supporting baseball or about government supporting sports. From what I read, and I'm not part of the inside conversation, the new owners of the Rays who do want to relocate to the HCC location over on Dale Mabry across the street from Raymond James Stadium are asking not only for that property to be donated, like 100 acres or something, but
120.
also for a contribution of $1 billion from local government, $750 million from the county and $250 million from the city. And I know it's not cash directly, to them or anything like that, but it's sort of contribution to the overall proposition of a stadium and roads and improvements, et cetera, et cetera. So with that said, there's a lot of controversy in the community. I think most people are in favor of let's keep the Rays. But I got a feeling if you actually went out and polled or took an election, a referendum, that folks would say, no, we don't need to spend government money, especially $1 billion to save the Rays. So where does Lynn Hertak stand on that? Miss Rays fan?
Yeah, I mean, I love
and as
baseball.
a disclaimer, I don't like baseball, and I could care less, and I've said that many times. But
I mean, we have a great history of baseball here, and that's why people want it to stay. I mean, for one of the many reasons, but it's not $250 million because we don't have the cash, and they do want the cash. We don't have $250 million. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to bond for that.
Right.
And so you add 50% to that.
Right.
So it's not 250, it's 250 plus 125, which is 375.
Bonding basically being interest.
Yeah, interest.
Right.
So when you borrow money, you have to pay for that privilege of borrowing. So if you round that and say it's about $4 $400 million, and we have 400,000 people in the city of Tampa. That's every man, woman, and child $1,000.
And they don't even get a hot dog for that.
No, but the question is, I mean, people are like, yeah, we want to save the Rays, but I don't, and I don't disagree with that. But the devil is in the details, and so those are the questions I asked. Because right now they're like, oh, well, it's going to stimulate all this stuff. Everything that's built on that site. That's a question that I asked Tuesday night. How much of that is going to be taxable? And they couldn't give me an answer.
Right. There's a lot of unknowns. You're right. I do have to admire you, though. You brought up another thing, which we're going to throw everything into the pot here. And I was there, for the Dog and Pony Show at City Council. We also have this. We're facing this situation where homestead exemption for homeowners may come to pass. Yeah. And you said it. You said, well, what? Yeah, there's a lot of unknowns. What's going to happen when we lose this ad valorem
correct.
tax?
And the state. And so what I don't understand is the Rays say they have $150 million coming from the governor. But right now, we don't have a budget.
But that's the HCC. That's to rebuild HCC.
But we don't have that money.
Right.
Because if you look at the legislature, which still hasn't passed a budget, even though that's the only thing they are supposed to do, right now, there's a $50 million part of the budget in the Senate. There's zero in the House.
50, not 150.
Not 150.
Just to tell
50.
everybody no.
And there's zero in the House. And right now, those two bodies are fighting. They're at war.
Right.
And so we don't have a budget. I don't know why there's this June 1 deadline, because there is no guarantee that money is coming. Not only that, $150 million will not be enough to rebuild that campus. It just simply won't. Because if we spent $120 million years ago to build Hannah City Center, there's no way. So there's that. But also the property tax reform. Right now, there's supposed to be a special session to talk about that. If property taxes go away, how are they going to fund this? And so that was my first question was, if this goes away, and right now
What was the answer?
The answer was
nobody knows.
We're negotiating that in the MOU.
And that was, who was answering?
That was Ken Babby.
Mr. Babby, yeah.
So again, I am willing to negotiate in good faith, but right now there's nothing to negotiate because everything is, it could be this, it could be that. I can't vote in 2 weeks on a could be.
Well, all right, we're gonna take a call that seems to have just evaporated. We're not going to take that call. The caller had a question about the $1,000 per person, so call back in. And if you want to join the conversation, it's 813-239-9663. Right now, we're talking about the Rays. Should government support the Rays? To me, it's a bigger question, sort of a philosophical question: is should government give a penny to support? A sports team? And traditionally, this community has said yes. I mean, has acted and said yes because
for the Bucks.
We support the Bucks. We support the Lightning.
However,
at the time,
and the Yankees too.
However, that was voted on by the taxpayers.
Some of them.
Yes, some of them, but the bigger things like the Sports Authority, we are contractually obligated to pay for certain things, especially for the Bucks. And the thing is, if TSA doesn't make that money, it has to come out of our general fund, the city's contribution. So that doesn't change. And so we're actually about to open the negotiation.
We haven't really hit that, have we, in the past? I mean, I know we support the golf courses for TSA, but I think in terms of the stadium, I don't think it's ever come to that.
Well, we've been fortunate. These concerts that we're getting in are raising a lot of money. Yeah. Well, even though we split it with the Bucks, they're getting a lot of money.
We are doing well with that, but the question is, yes, should taxpayer dollars at all go to stadiums? And right now, when people are coming to us, and gas is just skyrocketing, and there looks like no end to that. Groceries are going up. People can't afford to live here. People can't afford to own a car. Is giving away money to billionaires to make more money the smart decision?
But Lynn, you're a big baseball fan. I mean, what if they move to Cleveland, or I don't know, who doesn't have a baseball team?
I mean, as a sports guy, that was
where are they thinking about going?
My first. Maybe Orlando. Yeah, the biggest, I look at the media markets because I worked for Sunshine Sports Network, and I did sports as in my very first job on the radio and then TV. The number one biggest threat would be Orlando because look, if you look at Florida, the third largest state in the country, you got the Miami Marlins down in South Florida, but the Rays are protected from Tampa, Orlando, Tallahassee. I mean, you got 2/3 of a $25 million market. The MLB is not going to give that up. They're not going to go to Tennessee. They're not going to Montreal.
No, they aren't. But the thing is, so the media market, Tampa Bay is 11th.
Yes.
Orlando is 14th.
And if you put them together...
Orlando's is much wider.
Right.
It goes into like Vero Beach.
Right.
Those people can't get to a game quickly.
But
not only that, Orlando doesn't have 120 acres
they don't.
to give.
And they got to pay for it. We're giving it to them.
This 100-acre thing just is a whole nother thing to talk about.
Because that's what Atlanta does.
We've got a caller, and I think he wants to talk about... Skip, can you bring that on so I don't lose him? He wants to talk about this $1,000 per person issue. There we go. Are you on? Let him loose, Anthony. Let him loose. Just let him loose.
He's in the phone.
Let him loose. We don't care.
Come out of the phone.
We don't care. We got it. Let him loose. All right. Skip. Caller, are you there?
Yes, hello, good morning.
Hey, good morning. How are you down, Jake?
Good. Hanging in there, really. I got a question that's been plaguing me for this past few days. It has to do with this new district maps for Florida. And it just occurred to me, like, somebody had to sponsor their shape and the way they're arranged as a region. I'm wondering, like, who would you label for some of these for, like, District 15, whoever would you say, like, that Coca-Cola, Nestle over there, Mosaic down there.
Hold on. I don't understand the question. You're saying who made up the map? Because I think the governor proposed the map, but we wanted to focus a little bit on Councilwoman Hurtak and the stadium. Did you have a question on that one?
Oh no, that's pretty much. That's pretty much cut and dry. That shouldn't be happening at all in this situation with our county and our state. But that's county sort of, and I'm over on the other side of 75. But at any rate, y'all have a wonderful day. I apologize.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for listening.
I got to land that question somewhere.
All right. Take care.
Well, the city is split into 3 different congressmen now. You know, that's pretty sad. And actually, I'm in West Tampa. I live in West Tampa, and my new congressman supposedly is going to be Gus Bilirakis way out in Tarpon Springs. So I don't know how that. Well, that's right, because it goes all the way through Tampa Heights, Seminole Heights. Yep. So that's insane. I mean, I don't know how that can even fly, to be honest with you. But
so let's talk about some other issues. I don't want to run out of time, and we are, because we only have about 7 minutes left. Housing is always an issue. Some people question whether or not the city is in a position to, do much about it because it is such an expensive proposition. But I saw that it's one on the top 2 of your list. Yeah. Transportation and housing. So I know there's no cure-all, but what are some of your solutions, Lynn Hurtak?
So continuing on what I'm doing right now, and it's really the improvement and the new comp plan and the new land development code to allow different types of housing in the city, to reach out to the communities, to talk to them about what that actually looks like. So I've been going to every single meeting about the comp plan. I plan to do the same with the land development code. But that is what can change, because what you're doing is you're allowing developers to develop more. But if you want to talk about just straight money things, we buy land. And that's what we're doing. We buy land. We set out an RFP for a private developer to build things that have 99-year leases for guaranteed area median income levels.
Jane promised 10,000 units 7 years ago, and I haven't seen a recent calculation, but she hadn't gotten very far.
I think she got 6,000 or 7,000.
No. That's their numbers.
I saw something on Sunday on the video of it.
That's their numbers.
Yeah, that's their numbers.
I think the real numbers are more like less than 1,000, but something like that. So the point is if they've been talking about it and not doing it, what can Lynn Hurtak as mayor do to actually make it happen?
Well, prioritize it. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's starting the community land trust. It's all about land It's buying land. It's working with developers. It's being creative with the land development code. I mean, all of that has to come together in a concert. It's not just a one size fits all. You can't just say, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do 10,000 units. It's a lot more nuanced than that. Yeah. And the thing is, I've been in the trenches with housing. I'm doing the work. I sit on the AHAC board, which is Affordable Housing Advisory Council.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah, and it's been really wonderful. We have a great group, and I've actually
learn a lot.
Well, I've reconstituted that board to make it more active, and we're talking about actual things we can solve, and it's really been lovely.
Let me ask you this: there's a constant tension, and I ran into it. Any council person runs into it between neighborhoods that sort of want to stay the same, NIMBY for lack of...
NIMBY.
Not in my backyard.
Not in my backyard.
Right.
They want to stay the same. They don't want the additional dwelling units because, parking or weird people moving into their neighborhood.
They don't want the low-income housing.
Right, and that sort of thing. So I'm gonna throw out some examples. Beach Park, Sunset Park, over off of West Shore, have always been extremely resistant of any kind of change like that. What do you do about those kind of neighborhoods? Do you pick and choose and say this neighborhood will be treated differently than other neighborhoods in terms of those types of issues? And if you do you risk risk being called elitist?
Mm-hmm. But that's actually kind of what we're doing. But it's not about elitism. It's about coastal high hazard areas. If we cannot increase density in coastal high hazard areas. That happens to be South Tampa. I mean, that's for better or for worse. That's what it is. And especially with the hurricanes, people cannot leave those areas. So they don't want more density. They've clearly showed they're already getting more density even without incentives. So the incentives need to go where we want density.
And where would that be, for example?
That would be the Central Planning District, which is kind of the middle of the city. The Central Planning District, the University Area Planning District. So the major areas we want to see growth, the focus areas are West Shore and the University area, the Fowler Avenue. And we've been the new incentives that the comp plan will have will allow developers to double their density for affordable housing.
How about East Tampa and the traditional black
that's where most of it's
neighborhood?
going.
But believe it or not, that community is absolutely, they don't want to leave their community. They don't want people to leave. They are open to different types of housing.
Right.
And no, we're not talking about putting an apartment complex in the middle of a neighborhood. We're talking about building from the higher, the transit-ready corridors. We're talking about doing things like quadplexes and sixplexes, so low-rise housing that people can afford, because right now no one believes that their first house in the city of Tampa is going to be a single family with a picket fence,
because it starts at what, 300,000-400,000.
So people,
even in the least expensive neighborhoods,
but people have absorbed that and understand it, and they are willing to try other types of housing. And that's what I've been working on with the CRA right now. We have a lot of flexibility there, and that's what I'm doing. I'm working on some pilot programs for on land we own to build fourplexes, sixplexes, 3-story floor through apartments, which is the ones that have.
I've always said that height is one of the important ways to get out of our housing crisis.
Agreed.
And if we could go back to building some height and selling those as condominiums, affordable condominiums, instead of just rental apartments, so we'd be better off. Lynn Hurtak, we've got about 1 minute or less, and you've got the last word. We appreciate you coming on and talking about your mayor's race. We've got another 10 months, and we will have you back either alone or in a debate format.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you got the last word. Tell us why you want to be mayor and what you're going to do different.
Well, you've heard what I'm going to do different today. I mean, it is really all about the people. It's about communication. It's about making sure we're focused on the things that people are asking about. And the thing is, I have the record of doing that. And when it comes down to it, when it truly comes down to it, when you walk into that voting booth, I know that you're going to bubble the letter next to, or the circle next to my name, because you know I'm actually going to do that work.
All right.
Right.
Vic,
He's a hustler.
I'm a truth teller.
Well, Vic, you're there every week at City Council for various clients.
You know, the City Council doesn't realize how much power they have, and both you guys were on City Council because all you need is 4 votes to get what you even to override the mayor.
Yep. No, 5 to override the mayor.
Well, to override, but just to get something done. And that's the problem. Everybody's got their little agendas. It's getting the personalities and interests together.
It's like herding cats.
It's like herding cats.
But we don't do a good job in the city of really doing that.
Yeah.
Of bringing people together. And that's what I want to do.
Yeah. So I wish you guys luck. I mean, I wish you luck. It's going to be interesting. What's the sign-up fee, by the way? There's 11 now, but isn't a qualifying fee like $29,000 or something?
Could be, but we don't have to worry about that until January, after January.
Collect signatures.
But I am.
There'll be a little bit less than an 11.
Signatures are rough, especially at the mayor level.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we appreciate you listening
Tampa.
to Down and Dirty.